Oh, God. It's Friday. In this episode of The Full Nerd, 2nd Gen Ryzen, KB Lake G, controversy, and a brand new Radeon. Kind of, sort of. Welcome to The Full Nerd, episode 45 on Friday the 13th, 2018. That is April, April 13th, 2018. I'm your host, Gordon Maong, with co-host Brad Sharkus.
Hello, Internet.
Adam Patrick Murray, controlling the vertical and horizontal.
Hey, Gordon, what have you done with Elena?
Well, actually, we don't have room on the set for more than one person, and we have a special interview with the star of the topic today, which is the Ryzen 5 CPU. As you can see, Ryzen 5 is mic'd up. It has headphones on. It can hear what you're saying. Internet, if you want to ask a question, you can say it. We can hear.
Wait, is this first gen Ryzen? I mean, this has been sitting around for a while.
It's not. That is the big news of the day, right? And I got to tell you, everybody's like, it's hard not to call it Ryzen 2, but it's not Ryzen 2, right, Brad?
Nope. Second gen Ryzen.
2nd Gen Ryzen 2. Wait, is that Ryzen 4?
Real quick, why didn't they call it Ryzen 2? Because that seems like, why not?
It's actually coming out later. So this is their what? Kind of like plus, like Intel does their plus thing.
Yeah, this is the KB Lake to Intel Skylake.
Yeah. This is Zen Plus. This is basically. I got to be careful what I can say here, as there's things we can say, things we can't say. It is basically a new process, 12 nanometer process. Very similar to what we saw before. They're not saying this is a huge deal. I don't know what they've publicly said as far as what I can say is prices are better, clocks are higher, right? I think that's what we can safely say.
I mean, that's pretty exciting. I'm excited.
Price is better, clocks higher.
Right.
And they all now come with a Wraith cooler.
Oh, see, yeah. And
Yes.
actually, that's the thing, that the prices are even better. Even better. Mm-hmm. That's the crazy thing. Because let me give people the specs, right? So at the top end, we got the 2nd Gen Ryzen 7 2700X. That's the big difference between a Ryzen 1700X and a 2. It's that 2 there. 2700X, $329. Let's just say $330. 8-core, 16 threads, 20 megs of cache, 4.3 gigahertz boost, 3.7 base. Step down is the Ryzen 7 2700 NoX, 4.1 gigahertz boost, 3.2 gigahertz base, $299, $300, 8-core, 16 threads. Then we get to the top of the line Ryzen 5 2600, 4.2 gigahertz boost, 3.6 gigahertz base, 6 cores.
2600X.
6 cores, 12 threads, 19 megs of cache. They count all the cache basically to get to that figure. $230, rounding up a little bit. You know, you want to take your dollar and tip the person that you're buying it from at the Micro Center. And the fourth processor that is announced is the Ryzen 5 2600, 6-core, 12 thread, 3.9 gigahertz boost, 3.4 base, $200 street probably.
Nice.
And as Brad said,
were all announced today, and the street date launch is going to be the 19th.
Rusty says, tell us all your secrets for the Ryzen 2nd Gen. And then Elvis on YouTube also says, the 19th is the end of review embargo, right?
You know,
that's the street launch date.
That is the street launch date.
Yep.
So I don't know when the actual review embargoes are, but I will say the street launch date is the 19th. That is correct. That information is
We can't tell you our
authorized.
secrets yet, because as you can see, it's still in the box.
We can ask.
It's in the box. Well, actually, Elvis over on YouTube has noted that our unboxing vid was a couple days old. So we've had it for a while now, huh?
Gordon, it was your shirt.
Well, and Elena's awesome Triforce shirt as well.
Oh,
yes,
yeah. See, we were wondering if people could actually like clue those two things together.
Yes.
So we just weren't as buzzed when we did the unboxing. Yeah.
Well, and it's at one point when you were describing the chipset, you said AM2.
Did I?
And then you corrected yourself.
I said the socket. I said it's basically
I'm sorry, the socket.
Let's be honest here, for God's sake. It's the same socket. I gotta say, whoever made those, I forget. I don't know if it's Foxconn whoever made those sockets. Like, they got a warehouse of those things. They've been selling those things for like 10 years. They must get bored selling the same socket. The pins, of course, are different, but they're pretty much the same thing.
So, Gordon, in your in our unboxing video, you didn't seem to be too excited about the fact that the higher end version has an RGB Wraith cooler. I mean, everyone knows RGB makes it go faster. Why aren't you excited?
No, I think it was a good deal, and and the one thing is like, one thing I think sort of puts all of the second gen Ryzen in perspective is when you look at the pricing, because you sort of go like, wow, the 2700X, it always sort of takes me back a little bit. So the 2700X, the top end part, has a launch price of $329. Which is like, wow, how does that compare to what you can get out there today? And I went and checked, I think, Newegg this week, and you can find a Ryzen 718X. This might be actually an Amazon price. Amazon Newegg, it's very similar in pricing. $319. It's like, God, this is $10 more than an 1800X. So you kind of go like, well, should I get an 1800X? It's got right 1800. It's higher, right? It's 8. You get the 8's higher than a 7. So the difference is the original 1800X had a base clock of 3.6 gigahertz and a boost clock of 4 gigahertz, which, as we know, was basically the speed of light barrier for almost all those first-gen parts.
Yep.
This 2700X is 100 megahertz higher in the base and 300 megahertz higher on the boost clock. So that should tell you something. But then you go like, well, still, it's $329 on the street versus $319. And then you think, and this is the thing that gets me, like this. Now, this is a great deal here. You get that new Wraith Prism, I think that's what they're calling it. Wraith Prism cooler, and it's included in the box. The original 1800X, the original 1700X, and no X parts that I believe. I don't think the 1600 came. So no X.
Only the 1500X did. The 1600X didn't.
Okay, so the 1500X. They did not come with coolers. AMD said, hey, we're gonna throw the cooler in the box, right? And I went, it's like, well, how much did the original Wraith Max cost? And I think I found it for like, one place had it for like $19 or $10. Like, oh, it's not that expensive. Then I saw some places were selling the Wraith Max for like $80. It's like, I don't know who's going to pay that much for a Wraith Max, personally.
Well, but
a lot of people, the Wraith Max actually is the one with the plastic frame and had an RGB ring around it. That actually wasn't sold in the box with any of the original Ryzen chips either. That was only available for sale after the fact.
So
you had to buy that separately.
Brad,
so this
is
an upgraded version of that. I have all the coolers back here.
I never got a single one of those original Wraith coolers. I don't think that were the high end. What was the cost on the Wraith Max originally?
I forget. It was a little bit higher than you would pay for like a Hyper Cooler 2-in-2 or whatever.
Okay. So about $40.
It was $40-$50, something like that. Price for AMD fans, let's say.
It was pricey. And, a lot of people they're going to look at the unboxing videos that I went on today and they're going to go, wow, the Wraith Spire is just a rebadge of the Wraith Max. We sort of assumed that at first initially, but then I looked at them closer. There's actually a difference in the Wraith Spire design. They're both, I think, 4 heat pipe designs, but if you look at the actual contact plate, it's different. The Wraith Max, or the Wraith Spire, I'm going to guess is going to outperform the original because it is direct heat pipe contact. So if you look at the original, it had a copper plate with the heat pipes embedded into the plate. This new one is very similar to the famous Hyper 212 that everybody's loved, and I think it was the Evo that may have brought, or the Plus that went to a direct heat pipe contact. So rather than having the heat have to transfer through, a copper plate and then into the heat pipe and then out, it actually makes direct contact with the heat pipes.
I got to say, on our unboxing video, a lot of people were excited about how big that heatsink is.
Yeah, and I think the
it's
original.
good if you don't have to spend money to buy a cooler. I mean, you can always opt to spend money for a cooler, but it sucks when you buy a processor and you don't have everything you need in the box.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then the thing is, the original Wraith Max was a 140 TDP cooler. I'm still actually waiting for what this is, but I would imagine this is not south of that, so it's at least 140 watt TDP cooler, right?
Well, it makes sense if they're, they shrunk the node and they're pushing the clocks faster. So, I mean, they would need to dissipate more heat, you would think. It makes sense that they improved it a little bit.
Yeah, so, and it looks, nothing is, was the original Max, it was RGB, but was it?
It was just a ring.
Okay.
The Prism has the fans that are translucent, so it shows the fans.
Yeah.
But was the original Wraith Max RGB controlled? Or Lane and I were talking about this yesterday. So you could change the colors.
100%.
Was it through a USB header, or was it through sort of like AuraSync or MSI, or
it was through the RGB headers that you find on motherboards, so it'd be through rsync or whatever.
Oh.
I think AMD also offered software for it, but I did it through the motherboard.
Nice.
Okay.
XTA Garwin or
Hey, Dan.
Garwin over at on Twitch says Newegg had a 1700 for 220 yesterday.
Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Wait, 1700
I tell
or
ya.
1700X?
1700.
Oh, okay.
I tell you, we're talking about these second-gen Ryzen chips today, but if you go out there now that these are announced and go looking for a first-gen Ryzen chip, you can find some great deals. So if you're shopping on a budget and can't afford one of these new chips, you might want to consider looking around the next couple of weeks, because that's a heck of a deal on an 8-core part.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because I really feel like I'm gonna bite the bullet this year and rebuild my system around Ryzen, and I think that'll. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some heavy weighing of what I'm gonna put in it.
Yeah, not Threadripper.
I can't go all the way up for that for my personal personal rig at home.
Maybe the prices will come down when the next gen Threadripper comes out.
What do you know? What do you know? Secrets?
No, I'm just guessing if things parallel this launch, the older parts may get a little more affordable.
Maybe.
I'm going to ask you this. So I probably would not get an 1800X. I would wait for this 2700X if I were looking for the top end AMD part. If you were faced with what we don't know is performance, but we can guess it's very similar, but somewhat better due to the clock speeds. Would you do a 1700 for 220, or would you wait for the Ryzen 7 2700, which is a 3.2 base clock versus a 3 gigahertz on the original 1700, and 4.1 on boost versus 3.7 for 275?
Well, let's see. The 2700 is $300. It's going to be. If you can get the 1700 for 220, I think $80 off. That's worth it. The 1700, you could, if you put a better cooling solution on there, if you spend that little, $40 extra for a good cooler, you could get that right up there to 4 gigahertz speeds in a lot of cases. I think you save enough if you can get it at 220.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you there. $80 is a lot of hardware you can get.
Yeah. That's enough to make up the difference in GPU prices these days.
Well, yeah, actually, that was a comment somebody, T Swift 111111110 on Twitch says, GPU and memory prices was keeping him from jumping into building. So even though we're getting great deals on the CPU side, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I checked this morning because I was looking around at a 1080 and I saw one on Newegg. I can't remember which brand, but it was $600 for a 1080 on Newegg.
That's a normal price.
Yeah.
So the fever is finally
no, they're
broken.
supposed to be $500.
Yeah. We don't know. Everybody, we gave the GPU market Tylenol about 2 o'clock this morning. As every parent knows, that fever finally broke about 3 o'clock in the morning, so we're feeling better.
Oh, yeah, it was a EVGA FTW Gaming.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That ain't bad.
So going back through the coolers for a second, each one of these actually has a slightly different one. The 2700X has that fancy Wraith Prism that we were talking about.
Right.
The 2700 has the Wraith Spire,
Which
doesn't have the plastic. Yeah, it doesn't have the plastic enclosure around it like the Prism and the Max, but it still has an RGB ring. The 2600X has a Wraith Spire, but it doesn't have RGB. And the 2600 has the smaller Wraith Stealth. So each one of these is getting a slightly different cooler.
Well, and it's funny because I was talking with Elaine about this yesterday. I was like, why are people... I like that you get a decent cooler out of the box, but why are people so excited about the Wraith coolers? Brad, you've covered it really closely, but people they lose their mind over the Wraith cooler. So
I think when the first ones came out, they were a big jump over Intel integrated coolers. And I think AMD's done a real good job of branding them and selling them and making them eye-catching. That, plays into it.
Yeah. Okay. And I will say
they're solid. They're solid. I mean, I haven't tested these new ones, but they're comparable-ish to that Hyper 212 that we were talking about. So that's not bad.
Yeah. And I gotta say,
high-end ones.
I don't know if I don't think we're allowed to show video or pictures of the Wraith Prism lit up, but I will say that I have set it up and I'm doing some testing on it already. It is a really pretty cooler. I personally think. The ring lights up, the fan lights up, as you said, it's translucent, and you can control all the aspects of it through whatever utility you want.
We did the RGB build too early.
I know.
Right? See, Adam missed this yesterday, but Elena came over. I was like, "Oh, you got to check it out for your RGB build." She's like, "It's kind of garish." I was like, "What are you talking about? You just basically built a liquor store wrapped in a casino, and you're saying this is garish?" It's like, I'm looking for something kind of classy. It's like, she's not here, which is the best part, so she can't defend herself. But it's like you standing there in your sequin suit and like your rhinestone cowboy hat, saying you want something classy, or I like take off the Dan Marino shirt. What? I like it. Like I'm not into RGB because it's classy. I like it just because it's cool looking. It's in your face.
I should have plugged that build. It's sitting right behind you in our shot. I should have plugged it in just so it.
Yeah, but then it would be backlit because it would light up the whole room.
Yeah, right.
So
you
can't turn that on.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in this stack that excites?
They didn't announce many details about it, but they did announce that there's new X470 motherboards to go along with these. Right. Newegg already has 15 or so models up, so you can go check them out.
Oh, nice.
We have links to various stuff from this in our PC World article, Gordon's PC World article today. And they haven't explained too much about X470. They just said it's better tuned for the new higher clocks that these chips have. It's also going to have Store MI, I believe it's called, technology. That basically is going to let you use an SSD as a cache for a hard drive.
Wow, nobody's ever done that before, Brad.
It's true. It's not necessarily original, but it's still really cool. I don't think they've released any deeper details on any of those, but that's cool. So existing motherboard should work with these, right?
Yes, and in fact, I did confirm that with AMD. They've actually been including sort of support for these products in BIOS codes for a while. So if you have a current motherboard and you're already up and running, you probably don't even have to flash to do an upgrade. Say if you had a low-end Ryzen, you want to put in a Ryzen 7 or a Ryzen 5. And as I understand it, there's enough microcode there that the board should be able to boot up, and then you could, even if you say you went out and you bought an old X370 and you bought it for a steal, and you got a new second gen, you should be able to post the board and update the BIOS. There's enough there. It's not like the APU, which was very problematic because the APU is quite a different beast than a standard Ryzen part.
So. I'm curious to see, once all the reviews are live, the differences between X370 and X470 in practice, aside from that Store MI technology. But we are not there yet.
Yeah, we're not there yet, and we can't talk about it. But I gotta say, this is still an SoC part, right? People forget this. Ryzen is still at its heart an SoC, so a lot of it's buried inside the CPU itself. I don't think it'll be. I mean, it's not going to be as big as the leap, and I'm gonna people, when you understand what I'm saying here, the leap we went to from say Z170 to Z270. I mean, that was like a quantum change, right? And Z270 to the Z370, it was so different. I don't think it'll be as big as that. And people can't understand the sarcasm in my voice. It really didn't change much, right? So
no, because it's a revision of existing hardware. That's basically what this is. They're pushing the fabrication process down. They're pushing clock speeds up, just tweaking it and making it slightly better.
Right.
And over on YouTube, IvyNat says or is asking, can you use Ryzen 2nd Gen on an X370 board?
Yes, you can. And again, we were saying it is fully backwards compatible. You should be able to just, if you say bought a brand new X370 board, or you stole one, or you shoplifted it from work, not that I'm endorsing that, you should be able to just go out, buy a 2nd Gen Ryzen, again, update the BIOS, you're good to go. So not like it was with the APU.
And Rusty has a good question. Can you say if there's more RAM compatibility with X470 boards?
I don't think they've talked about that stuff yet.
I don't think they have.
What was the RAM they sent to you specifically for the kit?
It was a Sniper X, G-Skill Sniper X. I will say, though, you could imagine it's going to get better. I don't. I could probably imply that. You could sort of guess. I mean, I haven't really even looked into that too far yet, but you can imagine it's not going to get worse, right? So things will be better, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is building on top of what's already been getting polished for a year now, basically. So
Right, and remember again, memory controllers in the CPU, not in the motherboard. That's ancient old days. So
Nice.
other Ryzen parts, and again, the message, obviously none of us can talk about how far they clock, how far they overclock, but clearly you look at the clock speed boost. Like I'm just going to point some of these out because I thought it was really interesting. Ryzen 5 1600 boost is 3.6 to 3.9, 300 megahertz, uptick. The Ryzen 1600X to 2600X gives you a 200 megahertz uptick. And then 1700
In boost.
Oh, wow. That's the biggest one. I've forgotten how low that was. So 1700 to 2700X in boost.
no, you want to look at 1700X to 2700X.
Oh, right. Sorry. Oh, my Egg McMuffin with sausage is coming back on me. Sorry.
Oh,
They're running a deal on those in San Francisco.
Oh,
They are.
oh.
I mean, it's like two of those in hash browns for like $6. It's like the cheapest thing ever. I got
Still
one for the
not worth
homeless
it.
guy outside.
It's still not worth it.
So the Ryzen 7 1700, 3.7 gigahertz to 4.1 gigahertz. That's a 400 megahertz uptick, right? Uptick. But of course, 1700 was always clocked down a little bit. It was because of the lower power part. And I forgot to put TDPs in this chart. And the 1700X, 500 megahertz. Is that right? Yeah. Holy smokes. Yeah. So 1700X, 3.8 gigahertz, and the 2700X to 4.3 gigahertz.
Huh.
I mean, even though this is called the 2700X, if you look at it compared to the 1800X, it's still a 300 megahertz boost clock upgrade. So this is faster than the previous flagship.
Yeah. It's nuts, isn't it?
So, yeah.
And that sort of implies, and again, these are boost clocks, so this is what from the factory it'll clock up to under certain loads and certain temperatures, right? Clearly, if you do overclock it, you'll get more headroom. There have been some leak stories about how far you can overclock it, but definitely it looks like the second gen part definitely breaks that 4 gigahertz barrier that we saw with, first gen Ryzen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nigel's on YouTube's asking if you can give us an idea on the TDP.
They actually published them all,
Yeah.
or they sent the email. We could have published them. I put them in the post that this is about.
Oh, good.
They're all the same as the previous generation, except for the 2700X, which the previous 1700X, the previous 1800X was 95 watt TDP. The 2700X is 105 watt TDP.
Oh,
so
okay.
10 TDP increase. Everything else is the same.
Oh, I'll have to redo the chart and add the TDPs to it. I forgot. Adding all
Whoops.
this other stuff nobody cared about.
Well,
Process.
I got your back, man. I put it in the paragraph right above it.
I like charts.
You got to take the column out that says how many Egg McMuffins is this worth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that.
So, real quick question from me: how long do you think they'll keep around first gen parts? And are they going to drop street prices or just, or I'm sorry, drop MSRP, or are street prices just going to go down?
I'm trying to think of what I think I can say. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I can say that or not. I think I don't know. I'd probably buy one now if you want a first gen.
Yeah, well, the way I didn't go to whatever. I haven't had any inside information. Gordon has all that. I don't. Just me looking at it rationally from the outside. They've been having first gen Ryzen parts on a fire sale for 2 months now.
Nice.
They're clearing the channel out. They introduced the new Ryzen APUs to replace Ryzen 3 part and a Ryzen 5 part. So I would expect the parts that those replace to go away as well. So if you're looking for a deal on a first gen Ryzen, I would act sooner than later would be my advice.
Okay.
No comment. Senator, no comment. I plead the fifth. Actually, the last thing I want to talk about with the Ryzen news. Let's see, how long has it been? Okay. 1800X.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, I don't know, this is all speculation. I didn't even ask them about this stuff. So I don't know. There's nothing for me to even spill by accident, but there's no 1800X. It feels like they could do a 2800X. Do you think, my personal theory is they're going to take the best of the best,
Mm-hmm.
push out a 130 watt part, I don't know if it'll be like that sort of crazy Phenom part. Remember way back with that 5 gigahertz part that came with it?
The one that shipped with that water cooler or whatever?
Yeah, the one that came with the water cooler and the motherboard that ultimately was not compatible with that actual CPU. That was always fun. Do you think they could do that here? I mean, this is not Phenom, but it feels like, you know what? They're saving that 1800X for something faster, I think. Don't you?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't show up either, and this is it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do have a higher SKU that they could sell for $400 one day.
It just seems like they've replaced every single one except the 1800X. You know, to me, it's like, okay, I can see that one coming, right? If I were AMD, it's like, bam, 2 months later or a month later. Well, how high would they go, though, right? I don't know, right?
It depends on how they want to and can position it against price points versus Intel, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure if they want to go too much higher than this. If they do, maybe if they match, I think the 8700K is $350. So they could do 2800X, jack the price up $30, have just the premium bin chips. Who knows? We'll have to see.
Yeah, I'd put Egg McMuffin on that. Egg McMuffin with sausage. Now I gotta tell you, if you go to McDonald's and you say, "Give me an Egg McMuffin," and you don't ask for the sausage, you will be disappointed.
Yuck.
Yeah, it's the worst thing in the world. It's like, "Where's my sausage?" Just because you didn't say what sausage, sir. Yeah, I would say they got to do it, right? I mean, what the heck? And although and the really interesting thing is, like, yeah, when you look at competition, I just want to point this out because when you factor the math into it, 2700X is going to be street price of $329. Clearly, it's going to go up against Coffee Lake. Coffee Lake is going to, we're just guessing here. I've not run any performance numbers, but you could sort of guess it's going to be 8 cores versus 6, both of them with, SMT. But the price advantage, huge advantage for AMD because they're giving you basically, if you're not going to overclock or even you want to overclock mildly, they're giving you a great cooler, an 8700K. You're going to open that box up, pull out the CPU, and the only thing else that's going to come out is a sticker because you don't get anything else with that K part, right?
Because they haven't taken our suggestion yet to put the little tone when you open it.
Oh yeah, at least you get the boom 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 boom. Got to pay $500. But I mean, to me, it's a big minus, right? You got to buy the 8700K for $350 if you're lucky, and then you got to go buy a Hyper 212, which is $30. Great cooler, but that really makes it almost a $400 part, right? $380 versus $330. So
I'm going to be real curious to see where the gaming benchmarks shake out actually, because that's where Intel's had the advantage over Ryzen. Pure IPC single thread kind of a deal.
Yeah.
But these are pretty significant clock speed boosts for Ryzen, so I'm really interested to see where it winds up.
Yeah, I got to say, for all the testing, or I think Brad is on a time delay now. For all the testing, I will be doing Coffee Lake, all the parts with. This will be a post meltdown, post Spectre world because I think it's only fair. If Intel does have to take a haircut as small as it is, you do have to retest it with a Meltdown Spectre in place.
We have Nigel asking over on the YouTubes. Do you think they'll release an APU based on the 2nd gen hardware?
Eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah,
why
they just
not?
released them, so I'm not sure. Not anytime soon, I wouldn't think.
Also, max acceleration. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Will the X470 boards be worthwhile upgrade from the X370 boards I have now? And he just pre-ordered a 2700X.
Who knows? We haven't tested them out. We don't know actually what improvements they bring, but I think it seems like the highlight there is that Store MI technology, which lets you use an SSD as a cache for a hard drive. So I would guess that it would depend on how much value you put in that feature. That's my off-the-cuff guess without any deeper information.
Yeah, and I got to say, just for me personally, I would just stick with it. It's very much. I sort of very much see it like Z170 to Z270. If you could have run a KB Lake in your Z170 board, there's no reason to go out and spend $200 on that, or even $150 spent towards more RAM, larger SSD, or better GPU. Generally, is a better return on investment. Not I'm saying it's bad, but you already got the thing. Why put the money in there?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else to cover for this, or should we move it on?
No, I think we just have to wait. We're going to have, come back. We're going to be talking about the full review. We got some other surprises planned, too. If you have any other AMD questions, send them our way.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I'm supposed to actually get us to the next topic, right?
Yeah, that's all you, man.
That's all me, too. All right.
Speaking of AMD.
Yeah.
Speaking of Intel and AMD, so if you don't know, the news is, and I wrote this story. Gosh, when was that last week? When it was
Friday, it published.
Friday, we ran it. Basically, that Kaby Lake G, which was it was like the end of World War II, where you had the Russian soldiers shaking the hands of the American soldiers in Berlin. It was an Intel CPU built with AMD Ryzen M Vega on the same advanced EMIB. Like, oh my God, this is impossible. You could never imagine AMD and Intel working together. They did actually work on the same part. It was labeled everywhere as Radeon RX Vega M, I forget. And from what I understand, believe me, I would not have written it if I didn't believe this, but it is not actually the Vega CUs. It was actually based on the Polaris CUs, right? So I think
what makes you think that?
Well, the first thing is like all the utilities said, hey, this is Polaris, some of them. And then I went in and I did a feature check in DXDiag, and it says, hey, there's no DX 12.1 feature set, which is part of Vega. Ryzen APU, Ryzen Vega, DX 12.1, Polaris, Ryzen RX Vega in Kaby Lake, no DX 12.1. So
Tom's Hardware actually read yours and did some follow-up investigations, because in addition to DX 12.1 supposing to be a Vega core feature, so is Rapid Pack Math FP16. So Tom's Hardware read our investigation, did some follow-up work, and they tested Kaby Lake G's Rapid Pack Math FP16 performance using Psy Software Sandra GPU test, and found that whereas normal Vega chips, the Vega 56 and Vega 64, see a big improvement in FP16 under that benchmark, Kaby Lake G performs like Polaris as well.
Right. So basically all indications are that it is based on the Polaris architecture.
Which begs the question, what makes a Vega a Vega?
Right. And then the reason why Brad and I and Adam are very hesitant to call this a full-blown, conspiracy, controversy is because, one, Kaby Lake G performs like crazy good. Two, It's got HBM2, and as far as I know, it does also have the high bandwidth cache controller. 2 Vega features, and I think it has a higher ROP count too, right?
But as you pointed out, the Ryzen APUs have Vega software, and they don't have HBM or the high bandwidth cache controller.
Right.
So
why are those Vega?
This.
Yeah, and it is really, it's different because to me it's clear that they took a Polaris, base unit, and they integrated parts of Vega. Whether that was because of Intel saying we want this built with this, because remember AMD is a custom graphics part maker, they sell stuff, or whether that's because Intel said, hey, give us your Vega cores, and AMD's like, are you kidding? That's like our crown jewels. We're not giving that to you. We don't know. Frankly, that is internal high-level AMD stuff that we are locked up in a vault somewhere.
And to be fair, what you just described is similar to how the AMD semi-custom chips inside the consoles, the new, mid-gen refreshes are handled. They're the same GPUs as before with some Vega features added in. So,
yeah. So what is a Vega? I guess what it comes down to, right? I mean,
yeah.
Well, we have two.
It's just interesting.
We have 2 questions over on Twitch from XDA Garwin. He says, first up, have we seen any Polaris version perform as well as Kaby Lake G graphics?
I don't, because it is sort of a mobile-fied part. I don't think so, because you also have to remember you have, high bandwidth cache and you have HBM2. So I don't know. Because honestly, I've not seen a mobile Radeon laptop ever outside of a Macintosh. So that is in retail. I think Alienware did sell a Radeon-based laptop, but it's pretty hard to find a mobile Radeon GPU at this point.
And then his other question is, did you ever get to look at Kaby Lake G in Linux?
I did not. Elena did the review on Kaby Lake G, and if you get close to her desk, she'll like...
She does just growl like a cat.
She just growl.
Yeah.
You're not getting there. But yeah, I mean, yeah. And again, that's why I'm hesitant to call it necessarily a controversy, but at the same time, I do think it is worthy of people knowing that it is based on the Polaris cores. It is not based on Vega cores.
It seems, yes.
But at the same time, do you care? Probably not. But it's just something you should know. I think I'm a little uncomfortable with it sort of being called Vega all out and Intel not saying, hey, this is Vega because look, we got the thing you care about, right? Because these other features, Rapid Pack Math, we're going to have that for all of the 0 games that support that, or maybe 1, but we're giving you the high bandwidth cache controller and the HBM2. So, but it is worthy of people knowing.
Which is interesting because when you think of Polaris, when you think of Vega, when you think of Pascal and Volta on the NVIDIA side, you think of those as GPU architectures. But I think this is kind of reiterating that is the case, but it's also marketing. So it's a jumble. So, but with Vega being marketed as certain features, Rapid Pack Math, DirectX 12.1, I think it's worth pointing out, even though that Kaby Lake G has great performance, that you're not getting all those Vega features, and that's why it's worthwhile to dig into this and report on it.
Right. No, it's definitely something people should know, but again, it's not a horrible thing. It's not like it makes it a terrible thing, but again, it's something. It makes you like a little weird, and then at the same time, we've been all been doing this a long time. It is just a marketing name. It really doesn't mean anything sometimes. It's just simply called a Ryzen 7. And what's a Ryzen 5? What's a Ryzen 7? And you look at Core i7 to Core i5. It means one thing on desktop. It means another thing on mobile. Mobile Core i7 and mobile Core i5 are a lot more closer than they are on desktop. So it's really weird. And what does that mean anyway? And again, what's a Kaby Lake? What's a Skylake? What's a Coffee Lake? Right? So, but it's interesting, worthy of knowing, definitely worth pointing out, and it does make you go like, why didn't they just get out? I got to say, as a journalist, I kind of like, why didn't you just get out in front of this? Kind of like let us know, but
I'm sorry, I didn't read the piece. Did they comment?
No, Intel has not commented. AMD will never comment because it's their customer. And Intel itself is like, hey, it's a custom part. Hey, what do you want to know? It's a custom part. Got high bandwidth cache. Got EMIB.
I mean, that's what Jeffrey over on YouTube saying. The use of HBM2 or HBM memory makes it Vega more than anything.
Yeah,
but what about those Ryzen APUs that have Vega and don't have high bandwidth memory? It's just a mentally intriguing exercise for me more than anything.
Yeah, I think so too. And it is, it is like, huh? And the thing is, when you hear like, oh, Polaris, you go like, huh? But Polaris was not necessarily bad, right?
It's great for what it is. It's good for mainstream parts.
But yeah, I mean, would people have, if they, I gotta say, like, you gotta wonder, like, the math on this, when they discussed it, did they go like, hey, we're going to have Core i7 with Radeon RX Polaris. People go like, huh? Would that be a turnoff for people, Brad?
Maybe, because it's not just Core i7. It's the Core i7H, like their top of the line freaking CPU in there. So I can understand why they want to put top of the line Radeon name with it.
Right. Or would it have been better just to call it Radeon? Or does that kind of create questions and everybody's like, well, is this based
Radeon
on
graphics?
Does this create, is this based on Polaris? Is this based, and then we start getting in that game? Is that like a negative?
I like what Xbox One does. Hey, man, we have a custom AMD GPU, a Radeon GPU inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, I guess I could have just said, hey, I don't know, though. But, the pain in the ass, the console press is a little different. The pain in the ass PC press is like, well, what is it? We want to know. What's the conspiracy here?
those jerks start like digging into DirectX 12 levels and stuff like
No,
that.
but I mean, yeah, I know, because you think about it. Are we making a mountain out of a molehill? You know, like, I mean, yeah, if they come out and said it's a custom part, you got HBM2, what the hell do you want?
Yeah, chat doesn't seem to be too concerned about it.
Yeah, so, yeah, and again,
as long as it performs.
and it performs, and again, that's, you know, you put your money where your mouth is, right? So not a huge deal, but still,
And the Hades Kenya Nook earned an editor's choice from us, so it definitely performs.
Nice.
but still worthy of knowing, right? So
Yes, 100%.
but
Nice.
you know,
Speaking of graphics cards.
yeah, actually,
Yeah.
no, we're not talking about that marketing fluff. So let's get into some.
Some
This is the
real
big surprise
graphics
here.
cards.
Big surprise. People don't know. This is what now. Ryzen 5 has been very silent this entire time, but Ryzen 5 was telling us beforehand about its cousin,
Uh-huh.
brand new. What is it?
Radeon RX 500X series.
Whoa.
Your new second gen Ryzen desktop could have brand new Radeon RX 500X
Whoa.
graphics inside.
Brad, it's good because, you know, I have an RX 500 in my machine at home. I just sold it on Craigslist because I'm waiting for a Radeon RX 500X.
Probably made out with those sold it to a miner, made out good on the investment.
Well, it's going to be worth it because I'm getting the X part. So what does the X get me, Brad?
So here's the bad news. You could have made that Radeon RX 500 graphics card of yours an X part simply by downloading the latest Radeon software drivers. That's
Wait.
what it is, really. This week, Radeon RX 500X series, you know, started popping up on the internet, disappeared. We got some news from HP the night before, announcing some new laptops, and I'm like, hey, there's a 560X in here, so what's going on here? So I asked AMD about it. And these, I actually have the quote right here because I found it interesting. They flat out told me there are no hardware differences versus the Radeon RX 500 non-X GPUs.
Hmm?
It's the exact same parts. This is a brand refresh for pre-built desktop and laptop partners so they can make sure that they're using the latest Polaris architecture-based hardware and driver revisions in their new systems. Basically, PC makers want the latest and greatest parts, latest and greatest graphics to sell alongside all these new Intel and Ryzen CPU systems. So they slapped an X on it.
X stands for extreme, right? Is that the idea?
So all you get is guarantees is you have driver updates, if I understand this. But wait, now you're being unfair, Brad, because clearly, how much do those driver updates cost? Like I know I would have paid a lot if I downloaded those driver updates.
Well, if you have NVIDIA graphics, it would cost you your email
Yeah,
address.
well, that's true.
But for Radeon, you can just go download the drivers off the AMD site, scot-free. So if you want one of those fancy new Radeon RX 500X cards, just download the latest drivers. You'll be good to go.
Oh joy! Now as it comes with a sticker.
They won't be selling these in standalone form. So don't go looking for a Radeon 500X, 580X that you can buy and slap into your existing GPU. This is for pre-builts. This is for laptops.
All right, so it is a OEM only part purely.
Yeah, this is, you know, it's always, I'm not a big fan of seeing it, but it's a market reality with graphics cards. GPU cycle refreshes tend to be longer than CPU cycle refreshes. And both NVIDIA and AMD do this every few years.
You know what they should do is come out of the driver that lets you just name your own damn card what you want. Like it should just have like a feature to flash the BIOS, and you get like, yeah, and of course it wouldn't screw your card up. It would just let you change whatever the model number you want in the BIOS, and then change in the BIOS in the drivers, so that when your friends come over, it's like, dude, I have had 1180 for I had that like 3 months ago. Check it out. Like what? You got an 1180 card?
The bitchin' fast 3D is real.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I just, yeah, and this very much touches on our previous topic, right? Because it's like, it's just marketing, right?
Marketing.
Right? Because people, do you think it's because, I mean, what it is? Because the vendors want something fresh, right?
Yes, that's 100% what it is.
That's why we eat at Subway. It's fresh, right? I mean, it's just, hey, it's not that bad.
Dell doesn't want to sell a new second-gen Ryzen system or a new Intel Coffee Lake system that just got refreshed last week with a graphics card that's a year and a half old.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically marketing.
XDA Garwin on Twitch says, hey, his 480 was able to flash to a 580. Maybe you can
Now
make
you
it
just
flash
need
to a
download the drivers.
580X.
You know, you got so much. We're going to talk about the value you're getting. You can take that 480, turn it into a 500, now to a 500X. Like, that's just like so much value from one part, one GPU.
You're going up numerically and alphabetically.
Maybe, in fact, it would just do it automatically. Like, you would just do a driver update, and it would just name your card something new to make you feel better. I don't know.
The kind of bummer that I get out of all this is kind of reading between the lines. That means there's probably not going to be a mainstream consumer rival if NVIDIA indeed launches Volta cards this summer. Because if they were going to have a new line of Radeon cards, they wouldn't be putting out X cards right now. So
yeah, but I
there's
mean,
no 1080X.
Are they?
That would be pretty cool.
That could be. I understand. NVIDIA does have a new 1080X coming, Brad. You have to log in with Facebook, though. You have to connect your Facebook account to your GeForce Experience account, right? I don't know. That's, I mean, no, I just, right, when you think about the crazy marketing stuff, because 8th gen, look on laptop, 8th gen KB Lake R, I mean, it was a quantum leap in laptop Ultrabook performance, gave you a quad core CPU and what could only support a dual core before. It's KB Lake R refresh. The new H parts are 8th generation Coffee Lake. So they're not, so it's somehow Coffee Lake if it's in a big gaming laptop, somehow if it's an Ultrabook and you're getting double amount of cores, which actually gives you a bigger increase in performance, it's still only KB Lake. Well, what the hell? Where is that demarcation line between KB Lake R and Coffee Lake?
AnandTech had an actually really awesome visual graph for the Intel desktop Core i9 launch a couple weeks ago.
Right.
That had, okay, Intel 6th gen is Skylake. Intel 7th gen is KB Lake going all the way back. Intel 8th gen, and then it had, it could be KB Lake. It could be KB Lake R. It could be Coffee Lake. It could be Cannon Lake next month. And it was just... And that's the reason why I think it's important that we do cover these. The reason that you covered the KB Lake G, the reason that I covered this is so that when you go to buy a new PC and you go, hey, what the hell is a Radeon 580X? Google it and you'll see it's the same thing. Don't spend your money if you already have a 580.
Right. And that is actually a very important part. That is a very important point. All right, I'm waiting for the stream to catch up on Brad. It's so off-putting.
I know. Sorry.
You guys look fine to me. I blame you.
Brad, you're still like the... Yeah, it's important because, I mean, how many times, of course, for us nerds, we're like, when you're in that Best Buy and you're like, hey, that guy just told you the wrong thing. It's this. Oh, man, that just threw me off. When that, you go like, oh, no, this is what this means. That's what that means. It's not a big deal. Don't waste your money on this. But for your average consumer, and I always point out my experience is like when I went out and bought a new washer, I didn't know what. I got it. This one has a steam cycle. I got to get the steam cycle, right? Because it's better. Like you go in there and you don't know. You just end up like you buy because you just think, oh, it sounds better. It's got a newer model number, and you end up buying something you don't need that really doesn't replace what you already have. So information is very important to have.
Yep. And that's the reason why it's important to cover these things, even if they're not different, even if it is just a little minor technical details with the KB Lake G. It's so that people can make informed buying decisions. We're here for you.
Yeah. I just thought about that. Like, so if NVIDIA finally does launch Volta, Ampere, whatever, a new GPU this summer, what in the world is AMD going to put to go against it? I saw some crazy rumor, and we don't have too much time for too many crazy rumors, but I saw some rumor that Navi is going to compete with 1080 or something like that for $200. I mean, it's just insane. Like, is that real?
That's not on the roadmap this year. It doesn't look like. The AMD put out a roadmap at CES. Basically, the only GPU they had on there coming out this year is a 7-nanometer version of Vega. But that's only going to be for machine learning, Radeon Instinct GPUs. It's not even going to be consumer. So
it's going to be an all NVIDIA summer then.
Looks likely.
But that's a bummer. Yeah, because it was hyped up. The story I saw in WCCF Tech was this is going to be the Ryzen or the Zen of GPUs for them, but I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that rumor too. That basically it's going to be a bunch of Polaris cores, Infinity fabricked together to make a mega GPU, kind of like they're doing with Ryzen. But we'll have to see. It's still so far out.
Right, and it's pure rumor at this point, pure speculation. I mean, I submit just crazy. They don't know this over at WCCF. I just make up PowerPoint slides and send them over there. And you're like, so I've been coming up with my own code names. Like instead of like stars and navigational parts, I'm using celebrities like Bieber. Like, and then of course I'm using celebrities nobody likes, like Peltro. There's Bieber. So
Alan Thicke.
Alan Thicke. No one likes. Yeah, they're just like, that's what's coming out. They've never gone for it. I guess over at WCCF Tech, they have higher standards. My rumors are no good, so they can tell that one's fake. They're probably like, this guy's sending us crazy stuff again. All right, I'm gonna look at this.
Yeah, we've got like 5 minutes for some questions. So right now, just chat in your questions. I'll kind of comb through them and ask these guys. Let me switch over the graphic. There we go. Boom. Viewer Q&A. The first one comes in from Rusty Shackelford over on YouTube. He says, speaking of AMD cards, can I get Brad's take on this new alleged Ars gaming brand from Asus for their current lineup?
Yeah, so Ares. I'm not sure if it's been officially confirmed yet. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to follow it that closely, but that looks like it's popping up. Looks like that's going to be a new brand for Radeon graphics cards. Everyone's saying it's a reaction to that GeForce Partner Program that popped up a few weeks back. Gordon interviewed Kyle Bennett about it on here.
Oh, yeah, it's a great episode.
And so everyone's thinking that Strix are no longer going to be used with Radeon graphics cards, and it'll be Ares. We'll have to see. I mean, Asus already splits up its Intel and AMD motherboard chipsets by brands too. There's Crosshair and there's Maximus, so we'll have to see.
Although for the motherboards though, there's a ROG. Was there any sign of Republic of Gamers on this brand new AMD only brand?
I'm not sure. I honestly haven't had time this week to keep as up to with it as I would have liked to.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of the news around that, and I haven't seen the card yet, but it does look like that would indicate Kyle's reporting was correct on that, and then some companies are certainly reacting by separating, putting Radeon into its own little area, and then putting that little velvet rope around it. So we don't know yet, so who knows?
He actually had a follow-up report yesterday.
Oh.
Saying that big OEM vendors like HP, Dell, and Lenovo are pushing back against it. But he hears that the actual graphics card makers are splitting out Ares brands and stuff like that and whatnot. But it's still, a lot of this reporting comes directly from Kyle at this point. We're all kind of keeping aware, asking the people that we know in the industry what's going on. A lot of people won't say anything at this point. So
yeah. It is the silence is deafening, as they say, I guess.
But as I said a few episodes ago, companies will never talk contract details, even if you know the people. Like, if you go ask Sapphire, hey, man, how many GPUs does AMD send you? They won't tell you. They won't tell you. They won't talk to you about contracts between them and other companies. It's exceedingly rare, so we'll have to see.
But, externally it looks like there is some evidence that people are roping Radeon off on its own.
Yep.
Are they?
Seems like it.
What I want to know is if this is true. We have to wait to see the cards. Are they even allowed to call them graphics cards, or does it just simply say computer component, comma
mining
AMD,
accelerator,
comma mining accelerator, comma may or may not work with your PC? I just like. You don't know. I mean, like, it does seem a little crazy to at least not have a gaming that says it's for gaming. I mean, I could see like, hey, we're going to rope off these parts so that it's not ROG or whatever. It's going to have its own brand, but it should say gaming, right? It shouldn't say for baking. this Radeon for baking, right? I mean, are they allowed to do that? I hope. I don't know. We'll see.
Question in from David Williams on YouTube. Why is Ryzen great at productivity and still lagging in gaming?
One thing, AMD is giving you more cores for your money than Intel. Intel for years and years has doled out those cores like, like they had a complete control over the best CPUs in the world. And right now, AMD is giving you a lot more cores for the money. Intel also has a slightly better IPC advantage, and they also have had a clock speed advantage. And there also is the fact that AMD has been non-existent in performance PCs for a long time. Developers just ignore it. They've never really tuned for the Ryzen microarchitecture, which is very different from what Phenom was. So there's sort of all these things. So it's called a tolerance stack, right? Everything's sort of stacked up to make it worse in gaming. We'll see. It's
still fine.
Right, it's still fine, but yeah, clearly. And I just got into a reader with this. It's like, are you going to test this at 1080p very low? It's like, yeah, that's what you do. It is not a GPU test. It is a CPU test. You still test it that way, but I will test it at resolutions people play in. Yeah, at 4K at 1600p, though it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's all about the GPU. But if you're playing on a 240 hertz panel at 1080p, yeah, Coffee Lake has had a big advantage over 1800X over 20. But it's because of all those things. So main reason.
One thing I'm curious to see going forward is traditionally games have been all about that single thread IPC, and even with the advent of Vulkan and DirectX 12, the uptick has been slow. But now that Ryzen's introduced all these cores, and then Intel also rolled out 6-core processors, I'm curious to see if more games in the future will be more multi-core enhanced. But that's going to be, a process that takes a while.
Yeah, I'm always skeptical of it. And I am only skeptical because I've been saying this for a long time.
Yep.
And
we'll have to see.
It is very, for people who have believed in multi-core, multi-CPUs, you're Charlie Brown, who've been Charlie Brown all these years to the game developer Lucy's, and we'll see. I do hope that day comes because it'll be awesome. And then, of course, everybody will start to complain that these games don't run on my quad core with no SMT.
It was a big deal when there was I think it was a Far Cry 2 years ago where it wouldn't run on true dual-core chips.
Yeah.
And there was a big deal. Yep.
We got Nathan Lowry over in Twitch. He says, what are your opinions on the Red Devil 56?
Haven't touched it, but a good Red Devil tends to be a good cooler. A good cooler on Vega 56 sounds just fine to me. Because the cooler was the big thing that the 56 was lacking. If you have the reference edition 56 in your room, it's like the old Radeon 290X days. Those stock coolers are real bad. So if you can put a third-party cooler on there, no complaints. That'd be a great 1440p, high refresh rate 1080p gaming solution.
Was it really that bad, Brad? 290X is like damn near legendary.
Every time I have to test them, I regret it. I only have the stock ones, so.
I mean, the only card I can think of that was in its class was the classic GeForce FX 5800. Am I getting that right? It was the lawn blower one. The lawn blower GeForce.
Yep.
Yeah. That's truly, and it was a loud card. 290X is probably even louder than that, so.
I actually put a 290 back when I was testing Vega 64 in 56 because I wanted to say that in my review. I actually put the 290X that I have inside my system to confirm that it's pretty bad.
Wow.
So, but the third party Red Devil makes good coolers. I would think it'd be a fine purchase.
Nice. We got another question from XDA Garwin. Now that we've heard AMD and Intel make some recent announcements, do you guys think we'll see anything new at Computex? Which you are going to, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I would expect a lot of fireworks there. I mean, we're in a ball game here with AMD and Intel. So, and not only with desktop. Last year it was all desktop. This year, Intel's fighting back on desktop. They will be fighting back on laptops. I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks. You never know, because originally I thought all the parts would sort of fall on both sides of it, but who knows? I mean, it's a big. Vendors look for places they can get a lot of attention at. Computex is a place to get a lot of attention. I think it's going to be a really good show for PC.
Computex is my favorite show of the year because, like CES, it's all like, oh, here's our dreams of the future, basically. 90% of the stuff is stuff that's never seen the light of day. At Computex, you see these are the systems that are going to be on the store shelves this summer or this holiday season. So I'm really interested to see if Ryzen is able to make more headway into pre-builds, more headway into laptops. What I'm really interested to see is what NVIDIA does this year. So that's what I'm looking for from Computex.
Yeah, with all the rumors of a summer launch, it seems that's the only big event, right?
There's Gamescom, there's E3, but
yeah, that's true. They could do either one of those to do something. So
they use DreamHack for DreamHack Austin for the Pascal cards. So
I gotta wonder. I mean, I'm getting a little tired of it. I mean, it's funny. We were laughing yesterday because I made my own meme of the Maytag repairman. You know, like waiting for Volta, like waiting for Vampire. Just at one point you just kind of give up. I don't know. They got to do something, right?
It doesn't matter because you can't afford the cards now anyway.
Hey, they're coming back down. They're coming back down, bro.
We've got two more things. One is a question, and it's Java's Best over on YouTube. He says, "Can you please let me know the best laptop for gaming right now?"
The best one is the one that works for you. And look, I gave that person I gave you the correct response. Brad has covered a lot of gaming laptops. I've covered a lot. The one that works for you. Do you want thin and light? Do you want, high refresh rate? Do you want just a big beast monster desktop replacement? You have to determine what you want, what your parameters are, and then it sort of depends what you want.
Yeah, there's a wide variety in laptops. I did, however, recently test the Acer Helios 300, which is about $1,000, so it's not too expensive. It has a GTX 1060 full blow inside of it, Core i7 7700. 1080p 60 hertz monitor, 5 pounds, not too heavy, not too fat, about an inch, real comfortable keyboard and mouse pad. So if you're looking for one around the $1,000 mark, I think that's like, if I had to buy $1,500 ish laptop, that might be one of the ones I would look for.
They had what inside 1060?
Yeah.
Wow, for $1,000?
I think it was 1,100. It's now 1,050. Yep.
Jeez.
It's a great all-around package, man.
Wait, so it's 1060 or 1050 or
60, no max Q, full-blown 1060.
Wow, for $1,000?
Yep, and it has the 7700, so it's like what you want in a gaming laptop for 1080p. So
right,
it's a good price, solid package. That's a recommendation I'd make offhand. And then on the other hand, I recently reviewed like a $4,000 Origin Eon 1700X, which had a full-blown 1080 and a desktop Coffee Lake part in it, and it kicked all kinds of butt too. So it really does depend on what you're looking for in it.
Yeah, and that's a real desktop Coffee Lake part.
Yeah, the 8600K.
Overclocked. And of course, I really want to. We have not seen it yet. Unfortunately, we have not seen Coffee Lake H parts, so the 45-watt 6-core parts that are true mobile 45-watt TDP parts. I have done a couple hands-on with the MSI GS65, the Aero 15, and those are two of my couple favorite kind of like lighter weight laptops. Those are worth taking a look at. But do you think I'm not? I would think. Would you do this? Would you do a 7700K or would you wait for a Coffee Lake H, Brad?
I'd be fine with the 7700K for standard gaming.
H or 700H or the HM or HQ.
HQ.
Yeah.
7700 HQ Kaby Lake.
Yeah, I would agree. If you get if the price is right and your primary use is gaming, you're not into heavy duty content creation, then you could probably skip Coffee Lake H. But if you are doing content creation, video editing like Adam and you're gonna want 6 cores.
And like we were saying with Ryzen 2nd Gen earlier, now that it's here, now that these Coffee Lake H parts are here. If you're looking to get good deals on a gaming laptop, now is the time to go out there and look for those 7700 HQ Kaby Lake laptops. Now is a good time to buy.
I got to say, that is a steal, though, because 1060 laptops have always been, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600. To get it down to $1,000, 1050 is crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it really
usually,
impressed me.
Right? That's like a 1050 Ti typically.
Yep, 100%. It's usually you get a 1050 Ti, you get it's all clunky and stuff, but no, it's just nice. It's nice shape, it has a great keyboard and mouse or trackpad. It was a great all-around gaming laptop.
What model again was it?
Acer Predator Helios 300.
Yeah. Acer has just gone crazy with their pricing. They just want to they want to run everybody out of town, it feels like, so. Which is good for you, consumer.
All right, and to wrap it up, we got some breaking news over here on Facebook. Falcon Northwest, the nice PC boutique company, had just put in a thing saying that Brad's 7-year-old daughter is running a fundraiser for St. Jude. Today is the last day to put in money over her goal, and Falcon Northwest says they'll match up to $500 in donations today.
Wow.
So I'm going to put that link both in Twitch and in the YouTube. So thank you, Falcon Northwest. That is very awesome. Thank you for your daughter for doing some awesome stuff in that.
Well, that's unexpected, but yeah, since I guess that's that now. My daughter runs the St. Jude annual mathathon every year to try to raise money for St. Jude because she feels very strongly that when kids get sick, they should get the help they need and it shouldn't bankrupt their families. So every year she does a strong drive for it. Today's the last day. If you look at my Twitter account, you'll see a link right at the top. If you want to match, it sounds like Falcon Northwest, Kelt's being very generous. All of that goes 100% to St. Jude. So it's a good cause.
Wow. Awesome.
So the link is not working in YouTube, unfortunately. Thanks, YouTube. So I'm going to direct people to your Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
Brad Jargus. I'm fancy.
Perfect. Okay, cool. I put it in there. So go donate, and then once again, thank you, Falcon Northwest. That's fun.
Oh, good stuff there. I actually visited Falcon Northwest recently on a trip, and it was a cool shop. And they let me in the cage with all the GPUs. It was crazy. He did frisk me when I left, though. He was like, Did you take any 1080s or no? Oh, sorry.
I'm naturally this lumpy. Trust me.
Yeah, naturally. Yeah, actually, my son took a picture in front of a stack. Of course, remember, this is at the height of the craziness. He had a stack of 1080s. It was like, all right.
Cool. Let's wrap it up. We're
at the end. So check back next week. Let's say that again. Check back next week for your fix of hot PC talk on the Full Nerd. For audio listeners, give us a review on iTunes. Every time you do, AMD and Intel make higher, faster CPUs. Not true, I'm making it up. Also, you can listen to us on Google Play and Stitcher. Send your questions and comments to the Full Nerd at PCWorld.com.